Coming up, a new world record. We'll tell you what's special about this Robbie.
And a visit to a special place where it all began.
GA plays Santa Claus to an isolated island.
And blimps ×3. We fly the new Goodyear Airship. AOPA Live this week begins in just a moment.
Celebrate 20 years of Sonex aircraft by building and flying your dream. Quick handling, fun and capable kit aircraft models to suit your flying passions. Get the best performance per dollar with Sonex aircraft.
This is AOPA Live This Week with Tom Haynes and Melissa Rudinger.
This week marks 115 years since the Wright Brothers made the first flight in an airplane. One of the best ways to learn about what the Wright Brothers accomplished is through a flight to the Wright Brothers National Memorial in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina.
AOPA Associate Online Editor Dave Toulis gives us a look at what it's like to fly to the Wright Brothers Memorial and takes us inside the new Visitor Center.
On a cold, blustery morning, AOPA video producer Josh Cochran and I take off out of Frederick Airport here in Maryland on what is a first for both of us, a flight to the Wright Brothers Memorial, the place where a powered flight began. From Frederick, it's about a 2.5-hour flight to the memorial in a Cessna 182.
All right, so Josh, I'm pretty excited about going to the Wright Brothers National Monument, the new Visitor Center. You know, they only opened it up in October of 2018. I brought in several new exhibits. There are a bunch of new televisions, new screens that will kind of be a little bit more interactive and show us a little bit more about the lives of these guys when they weren't really inventing airplanes, you know, powered flight. I'm interested in actually experiencing flying in as a pilot, as a private pilot, flying into this historical airport.
The flight along the Outer Banks is beautiful as we approach First Flight Airport and set up for the landing. The experience of touching down here is a must for all pilots. After tying down the airplane, we head out to see the sights. First thing you'll notice if you visit here is a pilot's lounge built by you, AOPA members. It's here that we run into pilot Doug DeGange as he finishes up his visit.
All the perseverance that they went through from, you know, from being bicycle wall printers to bicycle makers to making the first sustained flight aircraft. It's just incredible story.
From the pilot's lounge, it's a short walk up the hill to view the memorial. The site offers a beautiful overview of the area from Kill Devil Hill. A short stroll down the hill takes you to the actual first flight location and to the new Visitor Center. A ranger tour is one of the best ways to learn about the Wright Brothers. National Park Service Ranger Amy Jennifer tells us about all that's new inside.
The whole Visitor Center is filled with interactive exhibits, and they are interactive so children can actually become a part of the Wright Brothers story.
The Visitor Center also brings the Wright Brothers story to life with artifacts from the first flight.
We have the propeller from when they were here. We have the 1903 piece of fabric that went to the moon with Neil Armstrong. We have the sewing machine that they borrowed from Mrs. Tate. So we have a lot of those exhibits. We have a lot of those real things here.
All the artifacts show just how brilliant the Wright brothers really were. As the sun sets on the replica Wright Flyer, we can't help but reflect on our new appreciation for the Wright brothers and to be grateful for the gift of flight that they discovered. David Toulis, AOPA Live.
You can find out more about what you need to know to fly into First Flight Airport on the Destinations tab on our website.
But you may find first flight not quite as neat, if the government shuts down, that is. If you follow the news, you certainly saw the contentious meeting between congressional Democrats and President Trump.
If we don't get what we want, one way or the other, whether it's through you, through a military, through anything you want to call, I will shut down the government.
Okay,
absolutely. And I am proud, and I'll tell you what, I am proud to shut down the government for border security, Chuck.
Well, if that happens, national parks like First Flight will likely remain open, but maintenance crews and other support people will be sent home. Visitor centers may be closed, but the FAA is already funded, so a shutdown won't affect air traffic control. And other safety and security critical operations also continue, so TSA and Customs and Border Protection agents will remain on duty as well.
Electric helicopters may soon be reporting for duty. Tier 1 Engineering announced this week that they have set a Guinness World Record for the farthest distance traveled by an electric helicopter. The battery-powered chopper flew 30 nautical miles at an average speed of 80 knots. The bird is a modified Robinson R-44 that the company is using to develop a semi-autonomous organ delivery drone.
And speaking of drones, the FAA is trying to speak to all those kids who will get drones for Christmas.
Buzzy the drone. Safety tips 1. When Buzzy goes out for a flight, the #1 rule is keep Buzzy in sight. There are other tips for Buzzy and you, but top of the list is keep Buzzy in view. Learn about your new drone at FAA.gov/UAS. Fly safe.
Yep, a whole new campaign from the feds for the kids. You can follow Buzzy's adventures on social media, all designed to direct kids to the FAA's UAS website, which is, well, maybe a little dry for the younger sets, but hey, they're trying.
The old college try.
Yeah, it's good to see them out there trying to get kids engaged and help educate them a little bit too, to keep us all safe.
Exactly. Aspen Avionics announced this week that it's received an STC for the Evolution E5 dual electronic flight instrument. It's a drop-in replacement for your old vacuum-driven attitude indicator and directional gyro. This non-TSO'd version features a bright display, faster processing speed, and battery backup. The E5 costs about $5,000.
As we approach the end of the year, it's time to look back and reflect on some of the accomplishments of 2018. One of the things we're most proud of here at AOPA is what you have done to help preserve and promote general aviation. You do that through your generous contributions to the AOPA Foundation. Mark Baker takes a look at some of the things the foundation has made possible.
As 2018 comes to a close, I'm proud to share how generous donors to the AOPA Foundation are helping us build a stronger, safer aviation community. To start, AOPA's You Can Fly program is getting and keeping more people flying. To inspire the next generation of pilots, our high school curriculum is in more than 100 classrooms across the country, benefiting more than 2,500 students. To help improve the flight training experience, we're finalizing a customer service course that will be available to flight schools in early 2019. To make flying more affordable and enjoyable, we've helped start 100 new flying clubs and supported several hundred existing clubs. For our fellow pilots who've had to put flying on hold, our Rusty Pilot seminars have made it easier for more than 6,000 pilots to get back in the air and complete their flight review. And the Air Safety Institute continues to be the premier source of aviation safety education, with programs that have been viewed more than 5 million times this year. The popular Basic Med course has helped more than 40,000 pilots who are flying under the new rule. Together, we are working to ensure the sky remains within the reach of everyone who dreams of flying. And a safer, more active pilot community gives us a stronger voice in Washington, which helps us protect our freedom to fly. To help us continue this momentum, please make a year-end donation at aopafoundation.org/donate and encourage others to support our efforts. With your help, we can continue this life-changing, life-saving work. Thanks for your support and best wishes for a happy holiday season and a prosperous new year.
Congrats to the team at You Can Fly in particular for all the great work they've done. It's really measurable progress they've made on all the initiatives they're working on, and it's good stuff.
It is. You and I have been around here a long time, and I think I can honestly say I've never seen so many wonderful things happening at the same time.
Right.
With donor dollars. I mean, it's amazing.
And so anyhow, opportunity to participate. I'm a member of the Hat and Ring Society, have been for many years. It's an easy way to give, and you can find it at donate button at aopafoundation.org.
Absolutely. Coming up after the break, Santa flies by General Aviation.
And it's not a blimp anymore, flying the new Goodyear Airship. You're watching AOPA Live this week.
From the beginning, Garmin has been the leader in ADS-B development. Since the early proof of concept days of ADS-B in the late 1990s, we've been actively involved in delivering to pilots the most complete picture of traffic to increase awareness and enhance safety in any airspace.
Welcome back. General Aviation is an especially useful tool for helping people in remote areas that are difficult or impossible to reach any other way.
AOPA Live's Josh Cochran has a story about a group of general aviation pilots using their airplanes to deliver holiday cheer to a remote island.
Flying across the Chesapeake Bay, pilots come across the unique village of Tangier, Virginia. Located in the middle of the bay, Tangier heavily relies on general aviation to bring people and supplies to the island. Today I'm flying to Tangier with Air Safety Institute writer Alicia Heron on the Tangier Holly Run.
What are you most looking forward to being on Tangier?
Well, I've never been there, and I've wanted to go there for a couple of years. I heard about it a few years ago, and so I'm really excited to just participate in the fly-in, see the people, and hopefully bring a little holiday cheer to the island.
Sure.
And also it's historical, so from that aspect, that'll be really fun. And just to be around the aviation community.
Once we touch down on the 2,400-foot strip, we unload our Holly and head towards the village. Many of the residents here work as watermen, catching the famous Maryland blue crab. In this case, Tangier is famous for the $100 crab cake. Not surprisingly, Lorraine's restaurant in Tangier has some of the best, and it's here we talk to some of the pilots about why they decided to spend a Saturday bringing Holly to a remote island.
I wanted to come see Tangier. It's cool down here. It's kind of like a trip back in time, sort of. It's nice.
Oh, it's a good opportunity to get together with other pilots, come out, have a good time.
A lot of people, on top of giving the Holly, for the Holly Run, they do office supplies and everything like that, so that's kind of neat, and it's hard to get for them here, so it's just kind of a giving back thing.
It's special every year that we do this in here. We always have a great group of people. We always enjoy each other's company. We always enjoy being out here with the Islanders. They're really great people.
And the residents appreciate the delivery of holiday cheer that comes every December.
I'll put it on my fence with my Christmas lights. Make it look better, because they're pretty, that holly is.
I just appreciate all the folks that came in today for the Holly Run, and it's just a nice feeling to know that people care and are interested in what goes on out here, and we look forward to it every year.
But Holly deliveries aren't the only use for general aviation here. Holly Run pilot Mike Mara uses the airport of Tangier in the summer, where he volunteers helping the residents with house projects.
In flying in for crab cake, we discovered that the people here could use a little bit of help. So we asked around and got 20 to 40 people a year. We come every June and we work on the roofs, the decks, painting, electrical. We try to make it safer, drier, warmer for the people here that need it. And so we're about 6 churches from the Carlisle area that pitch in. And so we come down here to help out. A lot of them are pilots, so they fly down and to assess the work. And then we come down in June in the group to do the work.
The Tangier Holly Run, along with all the other ways general aviation serves Tangier, is just another example of all the ways airplanes can be used to serve others. Josh Cochran, AOPA Live.
It's always a special time.
It is. I've done it several times. It's great use of general aviation airplane. Great way to get a crab cake and spread a little holiday cheer at the same time.
It is, and boy, doesn't it show the utility of a GA airport.
It does. It's hard to get there otherwise except by boat.
Exactly. And speaking of using airplanes to help people, 24 wounded veterans from around the country got a free flight to the Army-Navy football game in Philadelphia this past weekend. The game offered the ultimate chance to spend time with other service members and cheer for the branch they served for. The pilots who flew the vets are volunteers with Patient Airlift Services, or PALS. In addition to flying vets, PALS arranges free GA flights for people in need of medical care. The group is a huge asset for wounded veterans.
This is a tremendous asset to me and a lot of the other guys who have been able to come here on these flights, because it gives us an opportunity to not have to drive just for hours and hours and make arrangements to stay in hotels, and it kind of gives us a little camaraderie when we kind of get on the excitement of getting on one of these planes, flying up here together, getting to know one another and interacting right there, kind of start the day, jumpstart the day for us. It's a great opportunity.
Missions like this one are also rewarding for the volunteer pilots.
These guys nearly gave their life. All these guys were wounded. They nearly gave their life for our, so we can do what we're doing today. So we need to pay it back, and this is a great way to do it.
PALS is always looking for pilots to volunteer. Find out how at the PALS website.
And finally this week, it is perhaps the most iconic flying machine. If you haven't seen it in person, you've certainly seen it on television. And for nearly a century, it's been the brand ambassador for a major company. It's the Goodyear blimp. Recently, I had the opportunity to get to fly this next-gen behemoth. This is not your father's blimp. It's not a blimp at all. This is an NT series semi-rigid airship designed by Zeppelin in Germany. So the Goodyear blimp is now, well, technically not a blimp, but everybody's still going to call it that. But you could call it something else.
But I like to think of it as kind of the most impressive home built there is. It takes 9 guys about 9 months to a year to put one of these things together. And because of that, it literally is a custom build.
Custom built in Goodyear's century-old blimp hangar near Akron, Ohio. This is home for Wingfoot 3. The other airships are based in Pompano Beach, Florida and Carson, California. But it just so happened that when we were there, all 3 airships were there too. Wingfoot 2 undergoing annual inspection, Wingfoot 1 dropping in for some light maintenance and crew training, and Wingfoot 3 finishing certification flights. It's hard to imagine the size of these things. The NT Airship is nearly as long as a football field, and it weighs more than 19,000 pounds, and that's before the helium is added, of course. 3 Lycomings drive 4 props. There are 2 props for the engine and the tail. And they all swivel, making the NT Airship highly maneuverable, at least compared to the old blimps.
So even though this one is 55 feet longer than the old ones were just rudders in the back. So we had elevators and rudders for up and down and left and right control, and when we got close to the ground, if you didn't have enough airflow, you really relied on your crew to help you keep in the right spot, keep yourself lined up right on winds. We can't correct for a crosswind like an airplane because we don't have wings. This one here is much more maneuverable. There's an aft engine that gives you 2 propellers that help you with pitch and yaw, even when you're sitting in no wind configuration. So the fins are still working, but the thrust vectoring is really doing the bulk of the work.
And this nimble new airship can operate with a smaller crew.
We don't need 15 guys to go out and catch us anymore, but you also don't have that help of that team out there. The feel is a little bit different of it, and then just the challenge of keeping it in the right spot and right where you want it all the time is significantly different than the old ones.
The old blimps required a lot of physical effort to fly. The NTs are fly-by-wire, side stick, no rudder pedals, and the cockpit looks like something out of a business jet. But you don't learn this aircraft like a jet.
We do it all in the aircraft since there aren't simulators for blimps.
And to state the obvious, this doesn't fly like an airplane.
But really, flying the airship in general is like flying a boat. And so if you can imagine flying a boat with the tendencies of that up and down and wandering around.
For takeoff, swivel the forward propellers up, the back propeller down, and back away from the mast. Change the vector and climb out like a helicopter. Change the vector to cruise, and you're an airplane with the joystick as the primary control. But it's really easy to over-control. Let's just say the response to control inputs is not sprightly. Vectored thrust means the NT airships can hover in place, something the old ships couldn't do. It's a flying experience like no other. And if you'd like to get a job flying the Goodyear airship,
we don't usually find people that can fly the blimp right off the street. So what we're looking for is a commercial pilot, typically with an instrument rating, usually a multi-engine rating as well, and about 1,200 hours, 1,250, something like that. And then we bring them in and we'll train you on the airship from there. So if there's interest in being an airship pilot, it's a lot more the PR and management side. It's a lot of things that you typically don't get pilots doing, especially today's career track pilot. Building those people skills, having that want and enjoy being out in the public eye and interacting with the people really is a big need.
And Mike Doherty will be your examiner. He's the only DE in the country.
And there's one guy in the FAA that does what I do, and we gave him his airship rating last year, and I did this check ride for him. So.
It was a cool experience. And he's right. It is like, you know, flying a boat.
Yeah.
It's just you're kind of riding the ocean of air, and it's surprisingly easy to overcorrect on the thing, and because you just got to get it started one way, and then as soon as it heads that way, you got to take the correction back out and keep it from going too far and bringing it back, even with a fly-by-wire. It is. I've flown the earlier generation of Goodyear blimps, and man, they were really challenging. This was only moderately challenging to fly it, but it is quite a different experience.
I was really surprised to see the cockpit and the side stick, because like you, I've flown the older version, haven't flown the new version, but yeah, you really kind of had to manhandle it. Had the big wheel, and so remarkable change in technology.
It is incredible what they've done with it. It's pretty neat. Well, that's it for this week, and this is our final news show of the year.
Come back next week for the Director's Cut when we take a look back at some of the great stories of the year that inspired us, and we hope they were meaningful to you too.
We'll be back with the news on January 10th. Until then, we wish all of you a Merry Christmas and the very best for the holiday season, and of course, safe flying.
See you next year.
Purchasing your own aircraft is an exciting experience. AOPA Finance simplifies the process, saving you money with lower interest rates and hassle-free loans, so you get into your new aircraft sooner. AOPA Finance, the right approach to buying an aircraft.